Good afternoon, nerds and chatchers. You're listening to the Nerd Chat Show. It's 1979 and the winter of discontentio is upon us. So if you are out striking, you can always make yourself content again by visiting spinning loop-tastic things at the Royal Myle. Or you could visit a new public house called J.D. Wetherspoons and drink until you're happy again. Yeah, 1979 wasn't our most fun year. Welcome to 1979, you guys, and we are just one episode away from getting our first Loopy coaster. Or are we? So this is this really weird period of time between the first steel coaster being made and then making them properly loop. And there's loads of flat rides that we recognise even today that are launched within this gap. And it's also, by the way, a busy week IRL for me. So it means that I can do a bit of a filler episode. Hooray! So yeah, this is going to be a shorter cut to done episode. But let's actually take a look at what we want to do this week. And this is the area that I'm focusing on at the moment. We have now got Enterprise and Troikas in the world, and I always said I wanted to put them in this space, and I'm also starting to do the preparation for what's going to happen when this actually becomes the entrance area, and I'm going to need to bring a path around this way, particularly for our disabled guests, because the eagle-eyed amongst you spotted that we've got lots of steps in the way. So it makes absolute sense for us to start planning that piece of work out here. So what I'm doing is I've got a bit of a plaza area. I haven't put any of the queue lines or anything in yet. I need to do all of this stuff, right? But I just started to plan how I want this plaza area. There's going to be some steps here, some steps here. This is going to be a ramp up this way. This is going to be a ramp up this way. And then eventually that's going to join up around the back here and then round to the entrance area. And that will continue on this way, leaving a space for either a future coaster station or a small coaster. Watch this space. But you're probably now sitting there thinking, well, Chacho, is that all we're getting this week? Like, seriously, I've tuned in every single week and this is all you're going to give me. That's it. I'm leaving. I'm rage quitting. But no, this is not all you're getting, because the other side of the lake, Loopy. Yeah, Anton's been at it again. So in 1977, he released the Shuttle Loop coaster. So I thought, actually, let's just do something completely grotesque. Remember back in the tour episode of 1960 when I said I had plans for something really grotesque? I had just put this in and I was like, I want to show you and I can't. So yes, I wanted to put a shuttle launch coaster in here, and this is because this space is ripe for all kinds of development. If you have a look at the actual park profile itself, we've got lots of stuff going on here. This is going to be developed over time. This is going to be developed over time, and this is just really left unloved, and this is now where our focus of attention is going to be over the next coming decades. So shuttle loop coaster is where we start. I haven't done any queue planning or anything like that. All I do know is I need to reconfigure the path here. And by the way, you guys are coming at me for still having unpaved car parks, but none of you pointed out the fact that a fire engine couldn't get down here when Spitfire was on fire. Seriously, fire engine couldn't have got down because this is a bridge, this is a bridge, this is a bridge. They would have had to have come. Oh, this is a bridge. They just wouldn't have been able to get into the park. So what I do need to do is just to reconfigure this path area here. We need to sever the link between the dance hall and the rest of the park, because at the moment guests are either coming through here onto this balcony or they're coming over the bridge. So I need to make this a little bit better. We're going to get rid of the bridges. We're going to make it a level crossing so that we can come down here, and then that also means I can sever the link here, and then I can just have this bit being the balcony for the dance hall, and then I'm going to need to bring a pathway up and around this way. So actually, this is where the main bulk of the episode effort is going to go. So I reckon I've waffled about that long enough. You probably just need to see it, right? So, see you in a minute. I tell you what, you guys, given this was supposed to be a real quick build this week, it actually ended up being more effort than last week. Because of course it did. It's the Royal Mile. What do we expect? But I physically run out of time for this week, so even if I wanted to carry on, I can't. So the Done For Now stamp has had to come out. Is it perfect this week? No, it's really not. There's a few things that are a little bit rough around the edges, but I need to go back and fix them another time. So as I said, I physically don't have time. But hey, this is what we're working with, and I quite like how both of these areas have turned out. They did actually turn out better than I thought they were going to, in all fairness. We'll talk about the shuttle loop later on, because I'm going to save the best for last. But this is how we're looking from the fairy tale area, and do you know what? This is alright. It's got 3 different height levels to it, and I think this is what gives it character. We've got this lower level, we've got a slightly raised up bit here, which is why we've got this really weird concrete ramp in. Then we've got this higher level up here that gives the troika a little bit of prominence. So yeah, it's alright, you know. Let's talk about the Enterprise then. I've got no name at the moment, it's just going to be called an Enterprise because that's what we know it as. I wanted the queue to be something a little bit more whimsical. So I took some cues from Zodiac at Thorpe Park and put the queue line in here. Now, I do need to put the perimeter fence and stuff in. It feels like this is a bit empty because it kind of is. But hey. And remembering, by the way, it's still 1979, so when we're looking at all of this stuff, we have to remember that I'm still building in the past, and it's so hard to do because I just keep having to go back and look at reference images to find out what colours and design styles and stuff would have been going on, and it's purples and pinks for like the 1980 basically. So yeah. Chuffed with how this has turned out. It's simple, and it's all it needs to be, right? But I've just put some overgrowth in here, and likewise here, right? I wanted to start to represent the fact that sometimes the overgrowth actually starts to encroach a little bit on the ride area. So that's what I'm doing here. I don't know if I've pulled it off or not, but whatever, I don't care. And then we've got these 2 plaza areas here. So these stairs worked out way better than I thought they were going to. When I was putting them in, I was like, this is not right. Guests are going to clip through them, but we know that already. They do that on all of my other stairs anyway, so it's fine. And I thought, actually, let's bring the banisters or the balustrades. I don't know whether you call this a banister or a balustrade, whatever. It's like let's actually bring these through from the gift shop, right? Because I quite like them. So it gives the area a little bit of consistency and a bit of foliage and whatever, just to hide some misdemeanors that you've got going on, and it's looking good. It's looking all right. I dig it. You don't need middle barriers, by the way, because you've got the ones on the outside, so that's all fine. And then, of course, we've got the ramp coming up this way. I am intentionally leaving this area blank for the future. It's not going to be long. I think it's only, 20 years before we get the ride that... by the way, that's only a couple of episodes. Before we actually get the ride that I want to put in this space. And as I said, I need to put the perimeter fence in, but whatever, I don't care. So there's the Troika, or TriStar, whatever you want to call it, sitting pretty. I have stopped the pathway here, so this is pretty much as it would be when this was originally installed. We know that we're going to bring the path around here, and then eventually it's going to carry on into the rapids area, but for now, 1979, this is what we've got. This area here felt a little bit unloved, so I've just put in the... I love these guys. I've only just found them. Like, I forget that they exist. It's a little show that just lives there, and it just gives the area a little bit of character and a bit of colour. So, yeah, that's 4 minutes talking about 2 flat rides. Guys, I cannot overestimate or I don't know what I'm trying to say. I cannot even remotely start to tell you how much effort this ended up being. I thought it was going to be a real quick hour and a half. No, mate. 8 hours worth of work. Don't even know how or why. But talking of lots of work, this was worth it. So this is now sitting so nicely on the sightline. This is like... I wanted this to be so grotesque, and it hasn't turned out to be grotesque. And this was going to be on the original kill list, like as in it was going to only last a couple of episodes, and I was going to tear it out and put it back because it was just sitting so horribly on the sightline. But do you know what? It sits so perfectly. I haven't got the heart to get rid of it anymore. But in the interests of it being on an instant kill list, that's why this is looking a little bit, shabby. So... What I wanted to achieve with this one is the fact that the park has spent a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money, over the last sort of 20 years or so with, you know, the haunted house and the western area and the fairy tale area and whatever. So this needed to be a relatively cheap and relatively quick installation. We've got loops now, so they just wanted to put it in and they just wanted to have it there. It needed to pay tribute to the terrain that it was sitting on, so that's why it's dug down, and that's why we've got this concrete pad as the queue line here, with just a little bit of pebbling and whatever going on. But as I said, it needed to remain true to the original topography of the land, so that's why the telegraph poles are still in the place that they would have been in. They wouldn't necessarily have moved them or taken the time or effort to do anything with them. They would have just kept them as they are and built around them, and actually it fits in quite nicely with the station and stuff. So yeah, I mean, sure. Now, do you remember back when we were talking in the 40s that theme parks and whatever were using cues of the day? Well, we are in the middle of the Cold War, so of course you're going to call a roller coaster the missile. Of course you're going to. Could it have been sci-fi themed? Yeah, probably, but it's not, so deal with it. So what I've also done here is I've just put the pebbles and stuff in here just to give the ground a little bit of texture. Now this is actually, in reality, because of all of the terrain stuff I've had to do to make all of this work, I needed something to hide it. So this is hiding misdemeanors, but actually it works out quite nicely and gives the area a little bit of character and a bit of colour. So I'm happy with that. Now, I can't change the fact that the SLVs work in a completely weird way in the game. I can't change it, and I'm not going to fight with it. It is what it is. We've talked about this before in World of Few Mews. So, yeah, it does what it needs to do. I can't stop the fact that it has to do, like, this bit first and then launch backwards and whatever. But this did need a bit of custom supporting, and you saw me start it, and then I think I'm probably going to cut it out of the time lapse because then this suddenly appeared. Now, I decided to pull something off the workshop to get some inspiration. I've completely forgotten who it is, and I couldn't even pronounce the username even if I wanted to. So I took it for inspiration, and then I ended up almost recreating it. So the one that I ended up creating was pretty much a carbon copy of the one I found on the workshop. So when you're looking at this, you're going to go, this is just that guy's work. It really isn't. It's done by me, but it's really similar. Really similar. But hey, it made it worth it. Yeah, the supports just sit nice and pretty there, and that's what I said. I think it just like it works now. It works. I need some inspiration, by the way. I do want to put some kind of observation-y type thing into the park in the future, and I don't know whether to use the observation tower or whether to use the flying island, because the flying island would fit here. Do we do it? Because of the cafe that's sitting here. It's historic. It's been here since 1930. Do we keep it or do we bin it? Let me know in the comments below, please, guys. Yeah, so in the station... Man, this is a chaotic episode. So in the station, it's just your real simple station. I mean, you're probably going to tear me apart because of its simplicity, and I'm just going to say Thunderlooper says hi. So that's it. That's all I've got to say. And on the outside here, I have just put it's like the concrete path and stuff down, and then I've just put some wood paneling on here just to hide the misdemeanors of the actual decking and stuff, and then tidied up all of the foliage and whatever in this area, and we are then good to go. Lots of custom catwalking going on here, so this was important. I did need to do this, and I actually set out to do it, so the custom catwalking really makes this come to life. I'm really chuffed with how this has turned out in the end. Yeah, love it. And then the last bit, just to show you, is the realignment of the pathing. So I actually ended up having to do this 2 or 3 times, as it turned out, but it's in, and I've realigned the path. We now have a main pathway through this way, and we also have our new main pathway this way. And you know what? I think I prefer this to the bridges, you know? Controversial. Just strip out all of the history and be done with it. So guys, this is the Royal Mile from the top. Look at how this is turning out. Guys, love it. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the episode. I really do appreciate it, especially as this is supposed to be a short one. So let's go for a ride. You can have the rest of the week off, and I'll see you next week, because do you know what? It's the biggie next week. It's the biggie. Awesome. Thank you, guys. See you soon. Bye.